Hello everyone and welcome to my newest video. Pleased to see you all back. Now shall we crack on? Okay then, so today I have for you my review of very recently come out now, Kick-Ass 2. And if you don't know anything about the first one, watch the first one first because you know it's a sequel. So Kick-Ass 2. It comes back 2 years where the previous one left off, so you know it's carried on a bit from there, so you know Kick-Ass and Hit Girl and the other guy, everyone else, they've all carried on with their lives, so to speak. However, you know, Dave gave it up, so you know, at the end of the first one, so therefore he's not a superhero anymore. And equally, Hit Girl has trouble letting go of it, and therefore she still is. So that's where it sort of brings you in on the story from this so many years on. And it does a very good fast-paced way of bringing it up to speed about where everything is and has what's been going on since, you know, the ends of the first one and the events that went all the way through the first one. In all fairness, it makes references to stuff that happened back before the first one started. It makes ones when it was in the middle, and you know, so there's a lot that it covers in a very short space of time to get you right into the meat of the film, which was done very well, and yeah, it was, you know, much appreciated, because otherwise this film might have had a very bad beginning. But no, it started strong and it got better, and that's what I liked from this film to start off with. Okay. Secondly, I was not bored in this film at any point. At not one point in this film did I turn around and go, you know, not enjoying it at this moment. I was hooked from every single second of it, and it was all executed perfectly. You know, it had everything you want. Combat, comedy, character depth, it had it all, and it had an interesting story. The story, I have to admit, starts off, you know, as you'd expect, and it isn't really the most original of stories for sequels like this, but it did go down some roads you didn't expect it to go. You know, certain stuff happens, you didn't expect that to happen, and then it all sort of leads up towards this, you know, big epic finale, and therefore it all pays off in the end. And so, you know, the storyline was perfect for what it needed to be, and it shouldn't be tweaked it shouldn't have been tweaked at all for what it is. So yeah, that's good, and I'm pleased to see, you know, what happens in this happens, because you know there's some stuff in it you think didn't want that to happen, but for, you know, 99% of it, everything you would want to happen in this film happens. You get to see everything. You know, I mentioned the combat before. The fight scenes are a lot more intense, a lot more brutal than they were in the first one, but there's not so many gun battles like there were in the first one. They don't use guns pretty much at all. There's like a few bits where they fire off a gun, but for the most part they are just, you know, beating each other with sticks and stuff. So there was a lot more, you know, hand-to-hand violence in this, which I suppose again upped the level of it a bit and just sort of, you know, solidified what Kick-Ass 1 had done. So it was all done very well for that perspective. I mentioned earlier that obviously the characters are left off at different points, and what I find interesting is, as the film goes on, it sort of reverses roles for it. So therefore, you know, Hit Girl then becomes the one that just wants to lean back and have a normal life, and Dave's the one who wants to go out and be Kick-Ass again. So therefore, you know, there are a lot of going back and forth between what the characters want and what they're actually doing, etc, etc. And it does sort of, I suppose, get to a bit where you're just like, we know where you're going to end up, just hurry up and get there. This bit is just, you know, enjoyable but pointless now. But it dragged on for, shall I say, the right amount of time. Any shorter it would have been pointless, any longer you might have got bored. But that sort of going back and forth with characters, that did go on for about the right amount of time, and the bits that went on during it were enjoyable to see. So, you know, you've got a girl who beats people and kills people with bare hands, and some teenage girls annoy her. So, you know, you can imagine what sort of revenge she's got planned for him. Actually, you can't imagine, I cannot imagine what revenge she had planned, but hey ho, there we go from that. So, anyway, you know, it is my favourite film of the year so far, if I have to be honest. Most because I'm a bit of a, you know, I like the superheroes and stuff like that, and the first one had done it so well, and I was really having high expectations for this, and it did not disappoint from that perspective. You know, if you like the first one, everything you loved about it's in this. If you didn't like the first one, then give this one a shot anyway, because, you know, it does a lot of the stuff right that maybe the first one did that you didn't. So, you know, therefore, in all fairness, there's something here that I think everyone should watch, because I'm going to find it hard to see someone who does not like this film. I'm going to find it hard to understand, because from my perspective, everything was right in this film, and therefore, you know, there's nothing not to like about it. You know, I cannot praise this film enough. In all fairness, because it has been it was amazing. It's well worth the price you pay to get into the cinema. So you know, don't argue about what you're getting for your money's worth. And yeah, that is, you know, it is an amazing film. They introduce a whole new batch of characters, as you see in the trailer. You know, you've got Red Mist turns into the motherfucker, and therefore, you know, that sort of leads him going from a superhero to a supervillain, and you just got his story transition there. Equally, they introduced this new Justice Forever, I think they're called, and they were pretty damn good. You know, you've got Jim Carrey. You know, you find out Jim Carrey's in this movie, and automatically you get sorry, because who doesn't love Jim Carrey? And so he's in the movie, and he was pretty cool for when he was in it. And you know, every time when you see him, you're happy about it. You know, when he's off screen, you sort of miss that. But when they get back to him, it's not a wasted scene. You know, he sort of he steals the scenes he's in, and you're thinking about him when he's not there. So that's the sign of a good actor playing a good character in a good film right there. And therefore, you know, you also get introduced to some of the smaller characters. They get introduced to this little superhero justice thing they got going on. So, you know, you've got like the two the two people who are really timid and just hang around there really in some really lame costumes. You got another guy who doesn't wear a mask, so that was interesting enough. Gotta mention this, Donald Faison was in it. If you don't know who he is, then watch Scrubs. He's the guy who plays Turk in Scrubs. I didn't know he was going to be in this, but when I saw his name pop up on the opening credits, I got excited. I couldn't wait to see him, and he made me laugh on more than one occasion. So that was fun to see, just to see him in this, because I haven't seen him in stuff for a while. So, you know, that was good. You also get a new girl character in this called Night Bitch, and she was pretty cool as well. So, you know, all the characters that are in this you like, except for the villains. It's done it very well, where you hate the villains and you like the goodies. So, you know, normally it gets to a point where you just like, you don't care about so many characters on either side, but no, you really hate the villains and you really root for the good guys. So when a film can sort of draw that response from you when you're just sitting there watching a film, that is a good thing, and it, you know, everything is good in this film, as I've said. Were there any down points in this? One or two, I suppose. Like, I suppose you could say, where, like I said, the story goes down a place you didn't want it. Maybe you might not like that. Maybe you like it where you can sort of tell where the story's going, so you have a nice, enjoyable ride. But the plot twists and stuff in this were executed perfectly, and they did lead to a great conclusion, as I've said. So that's not really an issue, or at least not a major one, unless obviously, like I've said, you are happy when, you know, you just go on a nice easy film ride without that many plot twists or whatever. But that is up to you. That's everyone's personal taste. I love plot twists. Some people hate them. You know, we're all different here. So no. Apart from that, no. Like, you know, there's a lot of stuff, references and throwbacks to the first one, which is always good. It makes you feel that it is the right sequel for it, and it is the right sequel for it. You know, all the actors are perfect. You can tell they must have had a laugh making this film. The chemistry on screen is amazing to see. You know, you can tell it's bringing out the best performances from everyone, and that is really good. So, you know, yeah, Kick-Ass 2, must-see film now. If you loved the first one, you will love this one. And if you didn't love the first one, as I've said, give it a shot anyway. You know, let them film get its budget worth, because, hey. And, yeah, so final verdict on Kick-Ass 2, amazing, go see it. As I've said, now it is my official best film of 2013 so far. So 14th of August 2013, best film of the year so far for me. But hey, some other films are coming out later this year, so we'll see what we get for that. But anyway, thank you for watching my videos. If this is the first one you've seen, please go back and check some of my other ones. I'd be grateful for that. And you know, as I've said in the past few videos, I'm going to start asking questions at the end of these. So my question for my audience today is, if you were a superhero or supervillain, well, you know, what would you be? You know, what superhero / supervillain would you be? Put down both if you like. I don't care. I'll enjoy reading about it. So yeah, thank you, and you know, enjoy.